Alrighty, boys and girls, it is that time, halfway through the chapter, time for a test. So, let's go ahead and do the test review. We're going to go through section by section. Just like usual, I'm going to put some questions up here. I want you to write them down, pause the video, try and work them out, then press play when you think you have the answers, and hopefully you get everything okay. If not, pay attention to my steps and make sure you know how to do this so you're all set for the test. Here we go. First section, Chapter 6, Section 1. Okay, so these questions are all one-step problems, the most basic form. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at the side with the variable. For question 1, that's the left-hand side of the equal sign, right there. And you want to get x alone. You always want to get the variable alone. So the variable x is with a plus 6. The opposite of plus 6 is minus 6. So we're going to use the subtraction property of equality, take away 6 on both sides to isolate the variable, like so. What I do on one side, I do on the other. On the left, the plus 6 and minus 6 cancel, leaving x. And on the right, 4 minus 6 is going to be negative 2. For question 2, I take care of that plus 8 with a minus 8. The 8's cancel. And negative 5 minus 8 is going to be negative 13. For question 3, take care of that minus 2 with a plus 2. On the left side of the equation, the 2's cancel. And on the right-hand side, 1 plus 2 equals 3, so we have x equals 3. Chapter 6, Section 2 dealt with one-step equations with multiplication and division. Let's take a look. Okay, so when you're ready, go ahead and press play. Alright, so question 1, we have 20 equals 4 multiplied by x. 4x is an expression, x is the variable, and 4 is the coefficient. The way you get rid of a coefficient is by doing the opposite, which is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 4. Remember, a fraction bar means division. On the right-hand side, the 4's cancel. And on the left-hand side, 20 divided by 4 is 5. For problem 2, we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, negative 8. Do not forget to include that negative sign. On the left, the 8's cancel. And on the right, 24 divided by negative 8 is going to be negative 3. With question 3, a is being divided by negative 4. The opposite of division is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by negative 4. On the left, the times 4 and divided by 4 cancel. And on the right, negative 9 times negative 4 is going to be a positive 36. This is positive because both signs are the same. Negative times negative is positive. Question 4, we're going to multiply both sides by negative 2. On the right-hand side, the negative 2's cancel. And on the left-hand side, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Next, we have Chapter 6, Section 3, and this deals with rational coefficients. So basically, this is the part where we deal with coefficients that are either decimals or fractions. Let's take a look at some problems. Okay, so press play whenever you think you got these. Okay, so for the first one, the coefficient is 0.8, so we're just going to divide both sides by 0.8. This is the same way that we solved 1 and 2 from the last section we just did. On the right-hand side, the 0.8's cancel out. And on the left-hand side, 6.4 divided by 0.8 is 8. Now, with problem 2, this time the coefficient is 0.25, so we're going to divide both sides by that. The 0.25's cancel. And on the left-hand side, the answer is 64. Now, questions 3 and 4 both involve fractions as coefficients. Now, remember, when we divide by a fraction, we use keep, change, flip, so actually we multiply by the reciprocal. So, what that means is that for 3 and 4, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the coefficient to solve them. So in question 3, the coefficient's 3/4. We're just going to multiply both sides by 4/3. On the left-hand side, the 4/3 and 3/4 cancel. And on the right-hand side, we multiply straight across. Numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. 12 times 4 is 48, and 20 times 3 is 60. Both the numerator and denominator are divisible by 12, so reducing by 12 gives us 4/5. For problem 4, the coefficient is not just 7/9, it's negative 7/9. You have to include that negative sign with your reciprocal. So what we would do is multiply both sides by negative 9/7. On the left-hand side, the two fractions cancel out, leaving x. And on the right-hand side, before I multiply, if I want to, I can turn that 5 into a fraction by putting it over 1. On top, 5 times negative 9 is negative 45. And on bottom, 1 times 7 is 7. You could leave your answer just like that, or you could turn it into a mixed number. 7 goes into 45 7 times with a remainder of 3. The denominator would stay the same, and since it was a negative fraction, it's also going to be a negative mixed number. Now also, try and do this problem as well. Now with this problem, we have a mixed number. Now mixed numbers, you can turn into improper fractions, and you should do that before you work this out. Don't forget, to turn something into a mixed number, what you're going to do is multiply the denominator by the whole number, then add the numerator. The denominator will stay the same, and because that fraction was negative to begin with, we're going to put a negative sign in front of the improper fraction. Now, to solve this problem, again, since the coefficient is a fraction, we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal, on the right and the left. On the right-hand side, the fractions cancel, and on the left-hand side, positive times negative is negative. 5 times 25 is 125. 3 times 4 is 12. And we are done. Next, in section 4, we start getting into two-step equations. Let's take a look at some problems. Okay, when you're ready, press play. Okay, so with two-step equations, first thing you want to do is look at the side with a variable. And in question 1, that's the left-hand side. Once you're looking at that side, you're going to see an expression. Remember, that's where the variable and the coefficient are, and you're also going to see a constant number. The constant is the number that's all by itself, right there. You want to take that out first. The opposite of plus 2 is minus 2, so we're going to do that on both sides. On the left-hand side, the 2's cancel, and we're left with 3x. On the right-hand side, 23 minus 2 is 21. Now it's a one-step problem, just like we had in the second section, and we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, 3. The 3's on the left cancel, and x equals 7. In question 2, again, we look at the side with the variable, that's the left-hand side. First thing we want to do is take out that constant. The opposite of minus 7 is plus 7. On the left, the 7's cancel, and on the right, 3 plus 7 is 10. We're going to divide both sides by the coefficient, negative 2. Do not forget the negative sign. On the left, the 2's cancel, and x equals negative 5. With question 3, first thing we want to do is take out that constant. Since there's nothing in front of that 4, we know it's positive. Opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. The 4's cancel, and negative 1 minus 4 is going to be negative 5. Now we have a fraction as a coefficient. To get rid of a fraction coefficient, what we're going to do is multiply both sides by the reciprocal. On the left, the fractions cancel, and on the right, I can make that negative 5 into a fraction by putting it over 1. Negative times a positive is going to be negative. 5 times 5 is 25, 1 times 1 is 1. And negative 25 over 1 is negative 25. So x equals negative 25. We may also see the same style problems with decimals. So go ahead and try and do this one. Press play when you're ready. Okay, first thing that we would do here is take out the constant, which is the 27. Since nothing is in front of that 27, I know that's a positive 27. Opposite of plus 27 is minus 27. The 27s on the left cancel, and on the right, 78 minus 27 is 51. Now I'm going to divide both sides by the coefficient of x, 8.50. The 8.50s on the left cancel, and on the right hand side, 51 divided by 8.50 is going to equal 6. Okay, the last section we went over was Chapter 6, Section 5, more two-step equations. And these two-step equations involved problems with parentheses. So let's get some practice problems up here. Okay, go ahead and try these four. When you're ready, press play. Okay, let's take a look at number 1. Now, when you have a number outside of parentheses, it means multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is division. So with problem 1, we want to take out this factor right here outside of the parentheses. So we're going to divide both sides by 3. On the left-hand side, the 3's cancel, and we're left with x plus 5. And on the right-hand side, 45 divided by 3 is 15. Now, we're just going to get rid of that plus 5 by subtracting 5 from both sides. The 5's on the left cancel, and 15 minus 5 is 10. So x equals 10. With problem 2, we're going to get rid of that 5 by dividing both sides by 5. The 5's on the left cancel, and on the right-hand side, negative 30 divided by 5 is negative 6. We're going to get rid of that minus 2 by adding 2 to both sides. The 2's on the left cancel, leaving x, and on the right-hand side, negative 6 plus 2 is going to be negative 4. For question 3, this time the factor outside of the parentheses is a fraction. Remember, we take out fractions by multiplying both sides by the reciprocal, so let's do it. On the left, the fractions cancel, and on the right, I turn that 10 into a fraction by putting it over 1. 10 times 3 is 30, 1 times 2 is 2. 30 divided by 2 is 15, so we have x plus 6 equals 15. From here, I just subtract 6 from both sides to figure out what x equals. And for the last problem, I have a decimal as one of the factors, so I'm going to divide both sides by 0.2. Negative 10 divided by 0.2 is going to be positive 50. Pardon me, negative 50. It's negative because the signs are different. Now, I'm going to add 3 to both sides. On the left, they cancel. And on the right, I have negative 50 plus 3.